We have always looked to the stars for answers, in search of our place in this silent, infinite theater. We sought patterns, built models, derived elegant equations describing the dance of planets in the light of distant galaxies. And at the foundation of all of this lay one unshakable, comforting principle: the principle of our cosmic solitude. Not in the sense of an absence of other life, no, but in the sense of our isolation. We live on an island, washed by an ocean of chance. Everything that comes to us from the interstellar darkness, comets, asteroids, dust, is merely the random wreckage of shipwrecks that occurred eons before us, parsecs away. Accidental messengers with neither recipient nor destination, just cosmic debris washed upon our shore by gravity. We thought so. We were certain of it. But what if, all this time, we were wrong? What if the ocean is not so chaotic after all? What if some of these messages in a bottle are not traveling by chance? What if one is following another? Remember October 2017. Astronomers working with the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii noticed something strange. A faint point of light, moving at an incredible speed. Too fast to be a captive of our sun. The calculations confirm it. The trajectory is hyperbolic. This means the object came from outside, from interstellar space, pierced our system through, and is leaving forever. It was given a name. One-Eye Oumuamua, a messenger from afar, arriving first. And from the very beginning, this messenger behaved defiantly. It broke all the rules. First, its shape. An analysis of its light curve, that is, how its brightness changed, pointed to something utterly unimaginable. Not a sphere, not a potato like most asteroids, but either an extremely elongated object, like a cigar hundreds of meters long, or perfectly flat like a pancake. Both are nonsense for a natural body. Second, its movement. Oumuamua was accelerating, not by much, but noticeably. It was moving away from the sun faster than it should have, obeying only the laws of gravity. This happens with comets. When ice on their surface vaporizes under the heat of the sun, it creates reactive thrust. But Oumuamua had no coma, no tail, no visible signs of outgassing. It accelerated, silently, quietly, as if under the influence of an invisible force. The scientific community erupted with hypotheses, from the most prosaic, a hydrogen iceberg whose evaporation we couldn't detect, or a nitrogen snowdrift broken off from an exopluto, to those spoken only in whispers, for fear of sounding insane. The Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb proposed the simplest and most terrifying idea. He said, "Let's stop looking for exotic natural explanations where a technological one presents itself. What if Oumuamua is an artifact, a solar sail, a thin, light structure, accelerated by the pressure of sunlight itself? Someone's probe, someone's ship." The idea was too bold, too radical. It was listened to politely and placed on the shelf of the most extravagant theories. Oumuamua flew away, leaving a trail of questions and a faint sense of unease. We were left with the thought that we had witnessed a unique, singular event, a statistical anomaly, a freak of nature that we might never be able to explain. And the story should have ended there. But it didn't. In the data archives, in the gigantic repositories of information continuously filled by automated sky survey systems like ATLAS, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, a time bomb was ticking. This system, like a vast digital net, scours the sky for anything that moves. Its job is to warn of potentially dangerous asteroids. It catalogs thousands of objects every night. Most of them are our old acquaintances, orbiting on predictable paths within the solar system. But sometimes, the net catches something else. That's how the second interstellar visitor, Comet 2I Borisov, was discovered. It behaved properly. It looked like a comet, had a coma, a tail, and its appearance reassured many. See, they said, Oumuamua was the exception, and Borisov is the rule. Interstellar wanderers are just comets from other systems. We can relax. But then, in the same Atlas archive, they found a third one. 3I Atlas. Another faint, featureless point. Another hyperbolic trajectory. Another guest from the abyss. At first, no sensation. The statistics began to accumulate. Interstellar objects are perhaps not so rare after all. We simply didn't have sensitive enough instruments to notice them before. And this is where the part begins that isn't written about in press releases. The part discussed in closed seminars and encrypted correspondence. Several groups of astrophysicists, independently of one another, decided to do what seemed like a routine check. They took the trajectory of Oumuamua and compared it with the trajectory of 3I Atlas. Not just compared. They traced them back in time. They asked a simple question. Where did they come from? Imagine a cosmic ocean, boundless, dark. From its depths, splinters occasionally wash up on our island. One came from the north, another from the southwest, a third from the east. This is what we expected. Randomness, chaos. But the data showed something else. Both Oumuamua and 3I Atlas came from the same tiny patch of sky. In the direction of the constellation, Lyra. This was already strange, very strange. Statistically, extremely unlikely. It's as if two pieces of wood, thrown into the ocean at different points on the planet, washed up against the very same rock on the beach. But then, it got worse. When the researchers superimposed their trajectories, correcting for their arrival times, Oumuamua in 2017, 3I Atlas a few years later, they saw something that made them recheck their calculations again and again and again. The trajectories were not identical. They were correlated. Let me try to explain. Imagine you are standing on the side of a highway. A red car speeds past, and exactly 5 minutes later, a blue car speeds past. Just a coincidence. But what if you notice that the blue car is mimicking the red car's maneuvers? It changes to the same lane at the same stretch of road. It slows down on the same curve. That is no longer a coincidence. That is a pursuit, or an escort. The trajectory of 3I Atlas looked as though it was calibrated to the trajectory of Oumuamua. The object passed through our system on a path that was unnervingly similar to its predecessors, but with an offset, as if it were deliberately avoiding an exact repetition, yet following the same general vector. And yes, it too was recorded as having a faint, unexplained acceleration, without a coma, without a tail, silently. The statistical significance of this coincidence has not yet reached the gold standard of 5 sigma, the level at which it's impossible to speak of chance. But it has already surpassed 3 sigma. This is the threshold where scientists begin to say, there's something here. We don't know what. But this is not noise. This is a signal. The ghost of Avi Loeb had returned, and now he was not alone. What does this mean? What are our options? Let's go through them, from the safest to the most unsettling. Hypothesis 1, the Great Cosmic Coincidence. The universe is unfathomably vast and ancient. In it, anything that is not forbidden by the laws of physics will happen. And even the most improbable events must occur somewhere, sometime. We simply witnessed a fluctuation, a statistical outlier of incredible proportions. 2 objects from the same region of space, with similar anomalous properties, visiting us a few years apart. It's just a jackpot in a casino where the number of dice approaches infinity. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Extremely unlikely. This hypothesis is convenient. It doesn't require rewriting textbooks. It only requires us to accept our own insignificance in the face of universal chaos. But it is intellectually lazy. It explains the mystery by declaring it inexplicable. Hypothesis 2. An unknown astrophysical phenomenon. Perhaps we are fundamentally misunderstanding something about how star systems form and die. Maybe there is some mechanism that ejects entire chains of objects from protoplanetary disks or asteroid belts. Imagine a gravitational slingshot that fires not once but sequentially with some periodicity. Or a binary star, which in the course of its complex dance, shoots out a swarm of debris in one direction, but with small time intervals. In this case, Oumuamua and 3I Atlas are siblings, the products of a single cataclysm that occurred millions of years ago, somewhere in the Orion Arm. Their strange shape and acceleration? Perhaps it is a property of objects formed under special conditions we are not yet aware of. For instance, they could indeed be composed of frozen hydrogen or nitrogen, which would make them like cosmic icebergs, melting without visible vapor. This version is elegant. It preserves our picture of the world but adds a new, exciting chapter to it. It promises new discoveries, and it is completely safe. But there is a third hypothesis, the one everyone is afraid to say out loud, the hypothesis of technology. And here, the field for speculation becomes boundless and dark. If these are artifacts, then their correlation is not a coincidence and not a byproduct of a natural process. It is design. What kind of design? Option A, reconnaissance. We are dealing with a series of reconnaissance probes. Imagine a civilization that explores the galaxy not with a single ship, but with a swarm that moves in a dispersed but coordinated manner. Oumuamua was the first scanner. It passed through, gathered data on gravitational fields, solar wind, perhaps even listening to our radiosphere. 3I Atlas is the second scanner, following in its wake to verify the data, or to study another part of the system, or simply the next element in a survey conveyor belt. They pass through star systems by the thousands, systematically, like a combine harvester through a field. And we just happen to be in their path. In this scenario, we are nothing more than a geological sample to them. They are indifferent, cold. Their goal is information. And this thought is both calming and terrifying in its scale. Option B, logistics. Oumuamua is not just a probe, it is a kind of beacon, or a container, or a relay, and 3I Atlas is the next part of the system. For example, Oumuamua could have been a passive collector. It flew by, recorded everything on its storage medium, but it doesn't have a powerful transmitter to send data across thousands of light years. And that's where 3I Atlas comes in. Its task is to catch up with Oumuamua somewhere out there, in the cold void between the stars, dock with it, retrieve the data, and perhaps using the energy of another star, send a report home. This is a complex multi-stage mission, parts of which we are observing without understanding the big picture. We see only two links in a chain, not knowing where it begins or ends. And then, there is option C, the darkest one, based on the dark forest hypothesis described by Cixin Liu. The universe is a dark forest, full of hiding hunters. Survival belongs to the silent. Anyone who reveals their presence will be immediately destroyed, simply as a matter of security. There's no room for friendship in this forest, only paranoia. What if Oumuamua was a fugitive, a carrier of forbidden information, or simply a representative of a civilization that broke the silence and was annihilated? And it is the last thing left of them. And 3I Atlas is the hunter, the enforcer, the cleaner. It's not just following it, it's pursuing it. Their trajectories don't just correlate. One is a chase, the other is a flight. Their unexplained acceleration is the work of engines, faint, efficient engines designed for millennia-long journeys. Engines they engaged as they passed our star to correct their course, to gain or close the distance. We did not witness an act of exploration. We witnessed the final episodes of a cosmic chase that has been going on, perhaps, for millions of years. A chase that began in the abysses between the stars and swept through our home, through our own backyard, while we were arguing about politics and watching entertainment shows. Think about it. All our telescopes, all our radars. We were looking for a radio signal. We were waiting for a polite hello. We imagined contact as a dialogue. But what if contact is not words? What if contact is just the shadow of two silent ships flashing across the wall of our cave? What if the greatest event in human history has already happened, and we didn't even notice? This last hypothesis changes everything. It transforms the majestic and empty universe into a place that is dangerous. It fills the silence of space not with the anticipation of a miracle, but with a tense, suppressed silence. It makes us look at every new anomaly, every strange comet, not with the curiosity of a scientist, but with the wariness of prey. No one knows the truth. The data is still accumulating. Perhaps tomorrow, a paper will be published that explains everything with a simple and boring natural phenomenon, and we will all breathe a sigh of relief. Or perhaps, tomorrow, a 4-eye will be found, and a 5-eye, and we will realize that this is not a chain, but an entire highway, passing right through our living room. Oumuamua means messenger. We still don't know what it brought us, a disturbing riddle about itself, or a warning about what is flying after it. We are looking into the past, analyzing the trajectories of objects that have long since left us. They have carried their secrets into the interstellar dark, leaving us here, on our small blue island, with a new, fundamental question. Are we alone? It seems not. But what if? It were better if we were. What do you think? An incredible coincidence? A new, unknown law of nature? Or something else? Write your opinion in the comments. I am truly interested to know which hypothesis you lean towards. And keep looking up at the sky. Perhaps it's no longer as empty as we thought.